In the heart of a quiet rural village, tranquility was shattered by a crime that left even hardened police officers speechless. 13 lives lost in a calculated act of vengeance by one man, Lee Qing Haai. How did a boy from humble beginnings become the perpetrator of such a horrific crime? Today we unravel the chilling story of vengeance and its devastating consequences. Welcome to True Crime Stephen. Today we're uncovering a story of generational trauma, betrayal, and a thirst for revenge that led to one of the most gruesome massacres in recent history. Let's begin by understanding the crime scene that shook this village to its core. On the morning of July 5th, police received a frantic call from a small village. When officers arrived, they found 13 bodies, including children as young as 2 years old. The victims bore signs of brutal violence, bullet wounds, deep slash marks, and signs of a struggle. The killer? A man who calmly confessed to the murders, showing no remorse. That man was Lee Qing Haai, a name that would forever haunt this village. But what could drive someone to commit such an unspeakable act? To understand, we must look back at Lee's troubled past. Lee was born into poverty in the late 1970s, the eldest son of a struggling farmer. His father, Lee Mogan, worked tirelessly to make ends meet, but his efforts were never enough. Lee's mother, bitter and resentful, lashed out frequently, creating a volatile home environment. When Lee was just 8 years old, his mother abandoned the family. This left him alone with his father, whose grief and frustration soon turned into alcoholism. Young Lee had to shoulder adult responsibilities, working the fields to keep them afloat. Psychologists often point to childhood neglect and trauma as precursors to violent behavior. For Lee, these early experiences planted the seeds of anger and resentment that would later define his actions. In his late teens, Lee left his village for the city, hoping to escape the cycle of poverty. But life in the city was unkind. With no education or skills, Lee found himself stuck in low-paying, grueling jobs. Frustration turned to desperation, and desperation led to crime. What began as small-time thefts soon escalated. By his early 20s, Lee was involved in larger schemes, earning him a reputation as a dangerous man. Yet, even as he embraced a life of crime, one event would push him over the edge. In 2005, Lee's father, Lee Mogan, confronted two men stealing from his farmland. The altercation turned violent and Lee Mogan was fatally stabbed. Despite the clear aggression from the thieves, the court ruled the act as self-defense. To make matters worse, Lee's own uncle testified on behalf of the killers. For Lee, this was the ultimate betrayal. His uncle's testimony, coupled with the legal system's failure, ignited a hatred that consumed him. He vowed revenge, not just against the men who killed his father, but against everyone who betrayed him. After his release from prison, Lee began planning his revenge. He acquired weapons illegally and bided his time, waiting for the perfect moment. His rage was unrelenting, and his targets were clear: his uncle and anyone connected to him. On a quiet night in July, Lee executed his plan. He stormed into his uncle's home, sparing no one, not even children. Witnesses later described hearing screams that will haunt them forever. The massacre left the village in shock. Lee was arrested without resistance and later sentenced to death. Yet, even as justice was served, the scars left by his actions remain. This case raises profound questions. Could intervention earlier in Lee's life have prevented this tragedy? Or was his descent into violence inevitable, shaped by years of neglect, betrayal, and pain? Lee's story is a chilling reminder of the destructive power of unchecked anger and the importance of addressing trauma before it festers. 13 lives were lost, but perhaps this tale can serve as a warning to others. Thank you for watching True Crime Stephen. If this story moved you, please consider liking, subscribing, and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Together we can explore these difficult topics and learn from them.